Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. I wanted to cover Glitter and Lasers again. It's been a minute. I miss her. I want to talk about her. She doesn't do vlogs. I like to react to her when she does a big vlog. I like to take it piece by piece within a vlog. I don't typically like to do the shorts, but she's taking too long. You're taking too long, Anna. So I'm going to catch up. I'm going to try to figure out what the hell is going on with her. And I'm going to take you guys along with me. I figure December is more chill. I feel like you guys who are here in December, you guys are the real ones. You guys are the ones who really care. And I also think too, let's have some fun too. I'm going to have to go really heavy into the activism in January. Or should I call it Aubrey-wary? No, but January is going to be my maintenance phase, if you guys didn't know. And I do plan on doing daily in January. But I want to take it a little easier. I'm still in my vanity weight era. So, yeah, I'll give a bit of an update on that stuff at the end. I just want to get into this. So let's go.
I've decided to start my deep clean with a part of my apartment that is pretty emotional for me because it represents something I failed at, and I failed at recently, and it was something I had a lot of hope for. This space is my podcast desk, or it was.
Okay, so I already knew because I had seen this, and I'll just let her do the whole thing. We'll just go.
My podcast desk, I'm going to take it apart because the medical detective has gone on pause. It just wasn't financially successful, and so it's a chapter that is closing in my life that I'm really sad about, and I'm embarrassed because it didn't succeed. But this isn't making it better. I see it every day, and now it's just this, which just somehow makes it worse. I figured let's clean up this space and make room for something new. Something that feels hopeful rather than something that represents a loss. Now I'm ready for something new. I've decided to start my deep clean with
Okay, whatever. I just don't, like I said, it's December, y'all. I don't care. If I have to laugh, I have to laugh. I don't know. I'm not at all surprised that the podcast was not successful. I'm not. I think what surprised me was this whole video that she did. It's she's bringing attention to the fact that it failed in such a way, and of course there's no comments allowed, but I don't know what her angle is. I don't know. I really don't. I'm not surprised. I know that's kind of bitchy to say. I don't even care. I'm not even going to be apologetic. I don't know why I'm trying to act like I'm a nice person. I'm not. So I need to just stop. I'm not a horrible person. Again, we believe in shades of gray on this channel. Okay? We have to have the people like me so that we can really appreciate the sweethearts and the nice people. I'm spicy. I'm not as sweet. I'm spicy and sour. I'm just kidding. Kidding, but not. I am spicy. The point is, I'm not shocked that it failed. It was bad. I only reacted to her episode about her story, but it was so bad. I didn't even try to listen to the other ones because it was just so not a thing. And her saying it's on pause, it's can you just say it's over, please? Let's watch it one more time. I have to see it again. I want to examine her face and stuff.
Part of my apartment that is pretty emotional for me because it it represents something I failed at, and I failed at recently, and it was something I had a lot of hope for. This space is my podcast desk, or it was my podcast desk. I'm going to take it apart because the medical detective has gone on pause. It just wasn't financially successful, and so it's a chapter that is closing in my life that I'm really sad about, and I'm embarrassed because it didn't succeed. But this making it better.
She's plenty, like, if we're gonna be real about it, she's plenty successful. Like, whatever. I don't know what the hell she does. I'm so confused. I know, like, there are a lot of you guys in Gorlworld that know everything of how she makes her money and all that. I'm not. I'm like a very passive girly pop. I have been getting into Gorlworld a little bit more though, for sure. Because I don't know, I just have more energy. I'm in a reverse dieting journey, so I have more energy now. So I've been watching a lot of the Amberlynn Reid demonetization stuff. I've been watching a lot of Mr. Snowflake because as I told you guys, I'm trying to better learn the Jode accent. So he's a good one for that. And I think it's actually like my favorite accent, to be honest. But the point is, I have been watching him, and then I'm like, I'm curious about this. I want to talk about Glitter and Lasers again because I like to talk about her. So that's why we're here. But I don't understand how she makes her money. I guess, like, what I remember is, like, she does social media or she worked for something so she could, like, work the algorithm to do it or something. I don't know.
Better. I see it.
But regardless, like, I'm not buying the, like, it just didn't work and I'm so sad about it and I want to cry about it. I'm not buying it. It's like, please.
Every day. And now it's just this, which just somehow makes it worse. I figured let's clean up this space and make room for something new. Something that feels hopeful rather than something that represents a loss.
And then I don't get it because she didn't put anything there. I don't know. I don't get her. Okay, let's do another one. I'm going to keep going. Hold on. Okay, so we're going to look at this. This is like more, I guess, fitness related. The caption says, sure, I still have a big body, but what I can do is getting more and more incredible each day. So we're going to watch this. I can't play the music because it's copyright music, I'm pretty sure. So if you're listening, you'll have to look. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But this is her walking up the stairs before. Okay. This is her walking on some kind of path. Okay, now she's lifting weights. Okay. So one of the things about her is I always talk about the toxic ritualistic, basically. I have to when I talk about her because it's so blatant and it's so obvious with her. But she really heavily leans into the performing health aspect of the toxic ritualistic, of especially Hinge. So when we're talking about the one where you're doing too much, basically, there are aspects to it where you perform health, or it's like you perform that you're trying to convince yourself that it's not affecting you as much. So a lot of times it's even for yourself, but it can also be for other people. She does it a lot for other people. She's one of those, which I think that's why she probably bothers a lot of fat activists, because they can easily see themselves in her. And that is a part of the toxic ritualistic too. Like, she's a good example of it as somebody who's not an activist. I do, at least not fully. I mean, she kind of has she's like weird. She's kind of in between, I guess. Amberlynn Reid, she was a really good example of somebody who's extremely toxic ritualistic. That is one thing I will say Mr. Snowflake is wrong about. He said that Amber was lying about having Hinge. Amber that is her whole identity, is Hinge. There's nothing else. Like, her whole channel is about the toxic ritualistic cycle over and over and over again. I'm not surprised that, she was demonetized, because at a certain extent it was so blatant and so obvious that I'm really not shocked that it happened. I know that I'm talking about Glitter and Lasers, but I'm just trying to, I should probably do a separate video on Amber. I probably should. Why not? I'll do another one talking about Amber. But the point is, oh my gosh, my brain. Hold on. Sorry. I totally had a brain fart. The point is, it's interesting to see the toxic ritualistic in people that are not explicitly fat activists, because I can kind of, and that's why I might lean into Gorlworld a little bit more, because I want to show you guys how it practically looks within people who are not activists, or who are just simply activist adjacent, like Glitter and Lasers or Anna. She is showing that aspect. So it's like, I'm doing better, but it's like, I'm pretty sure she's still hinging, basically. It might not be as much. Maybe she is slowly starting to get better, but she never gives like numbers or anything. She doesn't do anything like that, which is also very sketchy in terms of like a recovery journey. And then she doesn't talk about or admit to the issue she has either. Or she did once. I was shocked. She actually admitted it in one video, but I don't even know where it is. It's somewhere on my channel where she barely admitted it. Like, it was literally like buried within like a 20-minute video at like minute 15, where she mentioned it for like half a second. But I was like, that's about as much as we're gonna get. But I think that Anna feels incredibly guilty over it. So it's not necessarily like, I'm not trying to be super nasty towards her. I understand how difficult it is to deal with the issue. I have dealt with it too. And she's really not at all recovered. So it's very touchy, but I still feel the need to bring attention to it, because this issue thrives in secrecy and sunlight kills it, basically. And, yeah, so I don't know. I don't know exactly where she's at, but I have heard of some people in Gorlworld using filters and like AI stuff and that kind of thing. I did see some of you guys talking about, like, I think Alex R. I don't like that she has my name. Whenever people talk about her, I'm like, that's my name. No, I'm just kidding. Kidding, but not. It is my name. So I always take it as everyone's talking shit about me. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe when I was in MSP, maybe a little bit. Maybe just for like a half a second. But anyways, the point is, I don't know if Anna's doing that. If there is, like, you guys need to tell me, because we need to talk about it. Because, yeah. Okay, let's continue. Let's do another one. Okay, so here's another one of her trying to be inspirational. So she says, if you spend too much time in the past, you'll waste the energy to make you'll waste the energy you need to make your future. On its face, I don't completely disagree with it. However, there is a balance. If we don't think about the past at all, then we are doomed to repeat the same mistakes. But by the same token, if all we do is think about the past, then we can never move forward or actually make a change. So there is a balance here. I will admit, for me personally, I have been the type of person that has been too focused on the past to move forward. I'm sure that comes as a surprise to nobody. I think Anna is on the opposite side of this. I think that she doesn't think about it enough. to actually reflect and then move forward in a new direction. So I am trying to embrace the light in life. I'm trying to look towards more positive things now, especially as my downsizing journey is coming to a close. But I don't think Anna is necessarily reflecting on the past enough. So I don't think I have a karmic tie with Anna. I do think I have a karmic tie with Aubrey. I'm convinced. I think there's some aspect with William as well. I think those two, I'm like, my mystical girly pops, mystical girlies. Let me know if you think I could have a karmic tie with them. I think there's got to be something with William, because I am literally like the anti-William. I am literally like the opposite of him. It's crazy. And to a certain extent, it's the same thing with Aubrey as well. But I don't know. There's some kind of karmic tie. And then they like are obsessed with it. Well, like William is obsessed with Aubrey. So I don't know. There's something going on. Mystical girly pops. If there's any mystical boily pops, let me know. Let me know what you think is going on. But I perceive some kind of karmic connection to them. Anna, apparently not, because she's the same and I've changed. She started her journey in 2020. I started my journey in 2021. And the paths could not be any more different. They just couldn't. Anyways, let's continue.
How did she get so big? Why is she so fat? Here's a little secret. I don't think about what got me here. In fact, I try to waste as little time as possible thinking about things I simply cannot change. This is where my body is right now. And what I'm focused on is how I can get to the next goal. I'm not wasting my time chasing my past. I'm investing everything in chasing my future. How did she get so big? Why is she so fat? Here's a little secret. I don't think about what got me here. In fact, I try to waste as...
Okay. And I think that's a problem. I do. Again, balance. There does have to be balance with this. 100,000%. There does. Like, certainly in the beginning of my journey, I was so incredibly hung up on my breakup. I mean, it was just, I literally, I don't even know if I physically could have moved on. Like the way my brain was and the hormones and everything, I was like locked in time. So I definitely had the opposite issue. But it's like, there's benefits to thinking about the past too. Like, I don't ever want to make the same mistakes I made ever again in love, And I made a lot of mistakes in that relationship, which is, obsessing over it or whatever, not moving on from it back then in 2023. It helped me reflect and try to do things differently. And, that has now, at this stage, it's blossomed into me dealing with a fearful, avoidant attachment style. And I have a lot more hope than I've had probably ever. And so I do think that, again, as much as I needed to think about it and as much as she needs to be positive, we have to take a page out of each other's books. And I want to move forward and be happy now, basically, or like, I want to look towards the future more, but not too much. It's always a balance. You want to be enough in the present too. You have to focus on the present. I think that is the majority of what you need to focus on, but still like envisioning the future, reflecting on the past. It's all a balance. It really is. And, I won't forget my past because I'm never going to make those mistakes again in love, for example. She needs to reflect on the past so that she doesn't make the same hinging mistakes ever again. She has to accept that she has to stop doing that forever. Not for a time, not for a moment, forever. And if she can't get to the roots of that and she can't deal with it, then ultimately this is all just a part of the cycle. It's just a performance. That's all it is. It's performing health. That's what I call it. And people do it all the time within Hinge. Even the Fab Fatties, they talked about it with their Thanksgiving video, how it's like all of the fat family members would go and make sure they had to walk after the Thanksgiving dinner, or they had to do this, or, you know, these types of things that you do because you're trying to convince yourself it's not gonna hurt. You're trying to convince yourself it's not gonna kill you. You're trying to convince yourself it's not killing you. So you try to do things to make yourself feel better. And I think that that's probably what she's doing at this moment. She's trying to lift weights and do all this stuff so that she can kind of use the calories that she's, whatting, basically. The calories that she is intaking. She's trying to be like, well, I'll use that for the muscle, or I'll use that to build muscle, or I'll use that to work out, so that way it won't kill me. That's what it is. And I think people, a lot of times when people talk about the toxic ritualistic, they talk about it as like, it's all about what other people see you doing. It can be, but it's not just a performance to others. Within Hinge, specifically, I don't know if this is the case for the other ones. I don't have experience with the other ones. But within Hinge specifically, it is also a self-performance. It's kind of like within the superstition of Hinge, you have to knock on wood. It's like, if I do that, it's going to be okay because I did that. You see? She's like, I'm going to be okay because I lifted these weights. When in reality, the behavior is bad, always. It's bad for you to do it at all, ever. It's bad. It's not good for you, no matter what. You could have a perfect workout routine. It's not going to matter. Your weight will not normalize. You're still going to have GI issues. You're still going to have a lot of physical problems. And you're still going to have massive, serotonin, dopamine fluctuation. It's going to lead to a lot of dysregulation of the nervous system and all these things. It's not good for you. It's just not. I don't know what else to tell you. It causes a lot of guilt, shame spirals. There's a lot of stuff it causes. And some of that, it's caused by a physical hormones caused by the behavior. So she's never going to get out of that at all if she doesn't stop. And she's just doing all this stuff to try to convince herself that she doesn't have to. And I think that's why she did the surgeries, and that's why she's doing this weightlifting right now. I think that's what it is. And she's saying, I just want to think about what I'm going to do now. And it's like, okay, but what about Hinge,
As little time as possible, thinking about things I simply cannot change. This is where my body is right now. And what I'm focused on is how...
So you have to be careful with never thinking about things you can't change. Again, the majority of your time on that, sure, that's bad. However, if you try to never do it, it's within Hinge, it can be suppression. I think within all of the toxic ritualistic, it can be suppression. And you have to be very careful with that, because there is a difference between obsession or avoiding obsession and suppression. They're two different things. Suppression feeds into the toxic ritualistic. Avoiding obsession helps to heal it. So it's kind of like if you look in the mirror and you don't like what you see, you can acknowledge to yourself, I don't like it. But what you can do is not obsess over it. So you can take in the information and be like, yeah, I'm not happy with where I'm at. That's not suppression, right? So you're not like, no, I see it. It's a good thing. No matter what, like, you're not doing that. it's like, I'm not happy, but I'm not going to obsess over it because it's not going to change in a day. And I know the behaviors that got me here and blah, 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 blah. So you can form like a rational course of action and a rational like thought process about it rather than feeling just pure emotion of craziness and then just like, oh my gosh. And like, it doesn't have to be that much. You have to think of it as like, I just don't like it that much, or I'm not impressed, or think about these gray level emotions that are fine to have because the shock behind it is not real. And that's not suppressing, but it's not overdoing it either. It's not like putting emotion into it either. You have to do that with everything, because when you're in the toxic ritualistics, it's like you're constantly either building things up out of nothing, or you're trying to take serious things and get rid of them completely or not think about it at all. And you can't do that. So it's like, if she feels super unhappy about her podcast not working out, she has to process that without Hinge. She has to deal with that. This just didn't work. This was a flop. This was disappointing. And she can feel it. She could even cry about it if she wanted to. I would suggest in private, because I mean, you can say things if you want to, especially like friends and stuff. I don't really understand doing it like crying about it publicly. I just don't. I just think it's kind of unprofessional, but that's my opinion. But she could have cried about it to a friend. She could have cried about it to herself, by herself. And that's fine. And you deal with it and then you move on. So that's not suppression, because you acknowledge how you feel, but then you move forward. Obsession, it's like you're acknowledging how you feel and you're still not moving forward. You see? So I'm trying to like teach a bit of a balance there, but because she could be like, oh my gosh, like just using the podcast as an example of obsession. This failed. Why did this fail? What does this say about me? How does this mean that other people view me? If other people view me this way, is there anything I can do to change it? If I can't change it, then what am I going to do about it? What am I going to do about it? Like, you see how that can kind of turn into that. That's obsession. And then you're sitting there and it's like you're not moving forward. The same thing can be done within the toxic ritualistic, within the mirror, or within your diet, or these types of things. And either way, you're not moving forward, is what I'm trying to say. So you have to find that balance, because if you're suppressing, it's like you're running from it all the time, then it's not going away either. So it's a delicate balance. It's very difficult for people in the toxic ritualistic to find that balance. That's why they stay in it. And I challenge you, if you are struggling with this, to find the balance between the two. Find the way to deal with it where you move on, you move forward. Don't feed into emotions that you don't have. Don't suppress emotions you do have. You need to get in touch with how you actually feel, and not be doing a self-performance, which a lot of people do within Hinge. And she is a really good example of that aspect. I think almost everything she does is a self-performance. It's a way for her to essentially lie to herself, because I don't know if she cares that much about what other people think. She doesn't come across that way to me. But it's all about how she thinks about herself. So she's constantly lying to herself. And she's a very severe version of the TR, of the toxic ritualistic. So it has bled into other areas of life. But it doesn't typically do that unless if you're super, I don't mean to say crazy, sorry. That was kind of mean. Unless if you're super severe, deadly severe, we'll be honest. I had it bleed into other areas of my life too, but I was deadly severe. So typically that doesn't happen. Typically it's sequestered to that one area. Because I feel like oftentimes on this channel, we're talking about extreme levels of this. And I need you guys to understand it's not always that bad. she's really bad. Like, she literally got surgeries and stuff to, in my opinion, to reinforce her cycles. And she has to take it to such a high level because she tries to put her body through all this stuff so that it's like she has to sit and not move after recovery. And then that not movement is reinforcement, or it reinforces the cycle. She has to go onto the rocks and she's not even dressed properly and she's getting all scraped up and stuff, and she has to put herself through that. So then that fuels another cycle, and then she has to, and then she probably uses these workouts that she's doing to fuel a cycle as well, and she'll go as harsh as she can with it, because the more painful it is in terms of like the physical effort of lifting weights, the more sore she is, the more arduous it is, the more difficult it is, the more reinforcing it is, because she uses pain to reinforce the cycle. And she's so severe that she creates painful situations in order to engage with the toxic coping mechanism even further. So that's what a lot of people, when they look at her, they don't understand what the hell she's doing. Whereas I know what she's doing because I've done it. I'm more introverted than she is, but I've done it. So that's why I'm like, oh, this is exactly what she's doing. I do think she's struggling. Like, I don't think she wants this to be the end of her. But I think that she's so caught up in the self-performance. She's so in it. She's so in it, in my opinion. It's like, oh my gosh, and I don't know.
To the next goal. I'm not wasting my time chasing my past. I'm investing everything in chasing my future. How did
I mean, I hate to say it, but it's like, consider tracking then. It's so basic, but it is so, like, people in the TR, they cannot stand it when you say that. They hate it, especially Hinge. They're just like, no. Like, I bet you if I told her that to her face, she might like want to slap me in the face. I'm not even kidding you. And if that did happen, I would wish that it was filmed and I would post it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not kidding, actually. I totally would post it. But I'm just saying, like, because I just want to show it. I want to show how angry people get when you say things like that to them. But again, to me, I'm spicy. I'm not sweet. I'm like, put some chili and lime on that. That's me. So, and some salt too. I love salt. But anyways, but don't get me wrong, I love my sweeties too. I love sweet people so much. But yeah, I'm just like, I used to love Takis. Takis burn your mouth. That's me. But, I'm fucking delicious. Okay? Period. But I sting a little, a little pain with the pleasure. But anyways, no. All I'm trying to say is I would love to not reinforce her to her face. Like, I have that temperament. And it is out of love, to be honest. Like, I think it is one of the most loving things you can do is to not reinforce this. But I know it would make her mad, and I'd be ready to fight with her, like, verbally. I'm sure you guys are not surprised. I'm very good at verbally arguing. And I will do it in person, too. Like, a lot of people think that I'm a keyboard warrior, but I'm not. Like, I will yell, I will fight, etc. Like, if she yelled at me, I'd yell right back at her. And, in my fantasy, it would probably be great content, but she would never. Because she knows I'm not going to reinforce. And she doesn't talk to anybody because she doesn't want to risk losing it. losing the coping mechanism. She's completely closed off to all feedback. Everyone around her is a yes man. And that's by design. But it's to guard the coping mechanism. Let's see if there's anything else we got. Okay, so we'll end on this one. This is like her favorite thing, which I don't know. I think, hold on one second. Okay, yeah, I just had to verify that she's a Scorpio. October 29th was her birthday. Okay. I was just going to say, it's kind of toxic. It's like a toxic thing with Scorpios when they want to fight all the time. And she is very much that way. She's not, as you would say in a spiritual circle, she's not an evolved Scorpio. Or she's not a, she's more, that's more low vibe Scorpio, which I love how pretentious that sounds. Kind of funny to me. But I like to sound pretentious, so I don't really care. But, yeah, she's very low vibrational Scorpio energy, always wanting to fight. I have a Scorpio rising, so I have to be careful with that too, a little bit. Because, like, there's enough fights out there. I don't need to make one. Okay. I have to tell myself that like every day. It doesn't help that I have Mars in Gemini either, because that is very brat. It's a very bratty Mars. Like Charlie XCX, she has the same. I'm literally born like really close to when she was born. And it makes you want to fight too. So the combo, you get this. You get a spicy, salty, sour girly pop. That's what you get. Okay, let's listen to this now.
55. Nobody watches you harder than the people that don't like you. So give them a show they'll never forget. Rule number 6.
So she loves that. So within the toxic ritualistic, like to bring it back to the actual problem and be a little bit less mystical, within the toxic ritualistic, again, people will look for, at times, not every single person, there are a lot of like very people pleaser types in the toxic ritualistic and within Hinge too, but there's another flavor of it, which is more brat rather than demure, which that type of person will look for a fight in order to fuel the cycle as well. And she's very much that way. I was that way too. I had a hard time with peace. It was hard. I still did this year too, but I really had a hard time in 2023. Like, it literally led to an identity crisis that year for me. It was really hard. This year, it was just the mid-size ego death that I experienced. So it was kind of similar, but it was not as severe. And it was like, I'm so bored, I was so bored when I was mid-size. It was crazy. But I was able to not like create fights. There were just so many to have. There were so many. I didn't have to make any. I didn't have to make any. But anyways, she makes stuff up. Like she does have haters, obvi, but it's like she wants it. Like she would not be able to handle if the haters weren't there. She would die. Like she would experience an ego death, a scorpionic ego death, if that were to happen. I think another good example of that is Amberlynn Reed. She's the same way. She loves to fight. She acts like she doesn't, but she's like a huge liar. So she would die if she didn't have the haters. But she also uses it in the same way. She'll use the hate and the fighting as a way to fuel the cycle as well. But that's very severe. That's not typical. I need to be, you guys need to understand that's like at a super severe level. But yeah, that's another example for you. So it's somewhat common. Sometimes too, you'll have somebody who's a super people pleaser and then they'll just snap within the TR. Like their hormones get all messed up. They start to like shift. Everything's black and white. They can't think clearly anymore. They get hypohazy and they just start fighting. So you could even see somebody who was a people pleaser start to fight with everybody. For me, I had like a people pleaser era, but it was so not even a thing. And it was like, it's just not me. It's so hard for me. Like I can please some people, but I'm never going to be like I have to pick and choose, basically. Like, I don't know how to say it. I feel like you guys can understand it. Like, I think now that I'm getting less avoidant, I do like to be liked, but don't mistake that for like, I'm scared of not being liked. It's like, no, I'm not. You know, I've been persona non grata so many times in my life. Call me Taylor. You know, I'm a Swiftie. I've been up and down in the court of public opinion throughout the years. Oh my gosh, that line killed me when she said that. But she's also Scorpio rising, so that's probably why I like her. But the point is, we're going to end this super gay video now. All I want to say is, don't make up fights. If you want to fight, there's plenty of fights to be had. You can become an activist. That's what I did. And it helps. It really does. It really helps. Because some people just have the temperament for it. I do. I personally do. And you have to find creative outlets for it and actual like constructive outlets. You don't want to be a destructive fighter. You want to be a constructive fighter. That's beautiful. And again, to bring it back to my mystical girlies and boilies, the positive of Scorpio, a higher evolved version of Scorpio, is that rebirth aspect. You rise from the ashes. You transform, and you can encourage that in others too through deep emotional honesty. That's a higher vibrational version of Scorpio, which Glitter and Lasers could do as she evolved, but I don't know if that will happen. I think she's too rigid. She's a stuck Scorpio. She's a stuck girly pop. But anyways, you guys, I will talk to you guys later. I hope you enjoyed this. I did. See you soon. Bye.